Welcome to WP Coffee Talk with your podcast barista, Michelle Frechette. Special thanks to our amazing sponsors, Sentry Hosting, Expander Digital, GoWP, and WP Explorer. WP Coffee Talk is a proud supporter of Big Orange Heart, whose mission is to support and promote positive well-being and mental health within remote working communities. Please consider a donation to Big Orange Heart to continue to support this great mission. Welcome to WP Coffee Talk. I'm your podcast barista, Michelle Frechette, serving up the WordPress stories from around the globe. And today, my guest is Jill Binder. Jill, how are you?
Great. How are you doing, Michelle? Thanks so much for
Good.
having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for being here. Now, you wear more than one hat, but and I'm going to let you tell us about all of the things that you do. But I'm just going to introduce you as the lead of the WordPress Diverse Speaker Training Group, and then in parentheses, she's giving me hashtag WP Diversity because it's important stuff. And Jill knows that about my work with underrepresented in tech and trying to help people get jobs and trying to even the playing field for people. And that's exactly what Jill's been doing from the work that she does. So again, welcome. It's so good to have you here. Why don't you tell us about yourself and what you do?
Sure. So again, my name is Jill Binder. I'm the lead of the as you just said, lead of the Diverse Speaker Training Group on the community team, hashtag WP Diversity. And I've taken the same work in my business to bring it to non-WordPress groups. So I'm also the CEO and founder of my business, Diverse in Tech.
I love it. That's wonderful. And the work that you're doing is phenomenal. And it really does take a village, right? I mean, it's not like, oh, well, Jill's doing that, I don't have to do anything. Or Jill didn't say, oh, Michelle's got that covered, because it takes a bunch of us to make sure that we can move forward in the right ways, because it's not something we can fix by next week, it turns out.
I am so thrilled with the work that you're doing in underrepresented in tech, and I'm one of your biggest cheerleaders. I think it's phenomenal, and I will support you 100%.
Well, likewise, I know that we've got each other's backs with that for sure. So I already got a little sneak preview, and I am in love with your mug because I happen to have the same one. But why don't you show us your mug and tell us a little bit about it?
Ta-da! It's a Love Wins mug. This is my favorite mug. It's from Give. They says haveagayday.org. And this was a present from Allie Nimmons. And that is one of the reasons why it is my favorite. Plus, like, how fabulous is this? That is amazing.
It is a wonderful
Is this where I
mug.
talk about what's in the mug as well, or just about
Yes, that's my next question. So what is in your mug? Tell us what you're drinking.
So there's a specific thing I'm drinking, and there's a reason that I'm drinking it, and I feel open to share with people. I'm healing a head injury, and I'm on a health protocol where I am to drink 3 to 5 mugs of matcha tea a day. And so, as always, whenever people ask me what's in my mug, it is always matcha. And I like, and today, as a special occasion for the show, I spiced it up a bit. I've got some cinnamon and ginger in there as well. Plus, drinking so much of it, it's nice to have slightly different flavors to it.
Right. Change it up a little bit here and there for sure. Well, my mug today is one of my Wonder Woman mugs. So you can see my Wonder Woman mug there. And I love coffee, but I cannot drink coffee after 4:00 in the afternoon. And so I have seltzer water in mine. It's cranberry lime seltzer water that I'm drinking. So trying to stay hydrated myself, which also helps with fibromyalgia and the things that I'm dealing with. And I just had my booster shot and my flu shot last week. So I've been trying real hard to push fluids this week too, just to stay healthy and stay feeling good. So everybody else there, get out there and get your shots. So tell us, Jill, how did you get started in WordPress?
Yeah, so my WordPress journey started when I went to college to come back to the computer world after stopping being the computer world for a while. And the computer world changes a lot. This was in the 2000s. And we touched on WordPress a little bit in my program. It was super confusing to me, but then I got my internship doing some WordPress websites, and that's just what started everything. Everybody found out I was doing WordPress. They started asking me to make their sites for big organizations or museums or whatever. And suddenly I was a WordPress developer for 8 or 9 years.
It's crazy how it kind of sneaks up on you, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It sure does. I don't think very many of us had a direct path into WordPress. It kind of like, I just fell into it.
Yeah, yeah, there's a lot of stories like that, which I
For
love.
sure. I do too. I love everybody's stories, which is, kind of the reason I have a podcast. Uh,
Nice.
when you look at WordPress websites, or websites, I should say, in general, what do you think that we as designers, developers, web builders can do better to make sure that websites are better for the end user?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'll preface this by saying I haven't touched websites in a few years now because I'm doing
Mhm.
community building work now. But of course, my work dovetails really well with accessibility. It's really important. There's even just some basic thing, like there's all kinds of advanced things that we can do so that people with screen readers or people who have limited hearing and all different kinds of things with interacting with interfaces, what we can do. But there's some basic things that are just good for everybody, like have font that's big enough to read. Don't put red font on a blue background. No one can read that.
No,
Make
for
sure
sure.
your color contrasts work.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think about that a lot actually when I do anything really now. And when I look at other people's work, especially like, let's say just a magazine or something, and you turn the page and you're like, who let that go to print?
Why does it hurt my head? Why am I getting a migraine right now?
I'm
That shouldn't be
suddenly dizzy.
happening.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, accessibility is super important. And it really does dovetail well into talking about working with underrepresentation, because as you and I both know, underrepresentation isn't just the color of our skin. There's a lot more in underrepresentation in technology, especially.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Yeah, I like to say that, we usually think about gender and we usually
mhm,
think about people of color, but we shouldn't forget that there's also neurodivergence and people with different physical abilities and different ages. When I was first giving talks about this, the older folks in the room would always come up to me and say, "Hi, I get ignored. I should be included in your talks. Don't forget about me." And
mhm.
all kinds of other uh, things as well. Sexuality, can't forget
Yep.
that as well.
Yep, for
I have,
sure.
every time I put out things about diversity, I have a little list so that people know
So forget anything.
what I mean. Because some people
Mhm.
think of diversity as like the difference between a developer and a designer, but that's not what I'm
Yeah.
after when I'm doing my work.
No, I agree. And the work we do at underrepresented in tech.com too is very much the same. So we're looking across all of the different underrepresented groups, because it's super important that everybody has an ability to work within WordPress and within technology in the greater world, but also that everybody has a voice in the community too.
Yes, and that's what my work focuses on mostly. It's about
Exactly.
making sure people have the voice in the community.
Hmm. Yeah. What is something that you wish you had known earlier in your WordPress journey that would have made life a whole lot simpler if you'd just known it a little bit sooner?
Ooh, let's see. Good question.
I mean, I wrote them
Um,
all, so I think they're all good questions, but yeah.
that may or may not be a way for me to stall and buy a little time to answer this
See, I'm
question.
giving you more time by
I feel like my answer as a community builder is different from my answer as a developer because I've sort of
Mhm,
had two different paths.
sure.
Um, as a developer, I think it was really knowing that I could get help from other people.
Mhm,
Back when I was learning computer development in the mid 90s, we was very insulated. We all had our little cliques in university, and there wasn't the internet to go find out answers. So once I came back to computers years later, it was like, wow, there's internet. And I forgot at first, there's also people, and people are
mhm,
really, one of the reasons why I chose WordPress specifically, because I was dabbled in a few different technologies, is the community was just so helpful. And being able to
mhm.
ask and answer questions for people made a really big difference.
Yeah,
And
I
then it was kind
agree.
of similar for my community work.
Mhm,
For the first year of it, I felt like I was doing it all by myself and I didn't know what I was doing. And then learning that there were people I could turn to for help on that as well.
mhm.
That made all the difference as well.
I agree. I was working in WordPress for a couple of years before I realized there were meetups, there were WordCamps, there was this, I didn't have to figure it all out on my own by just Googling everything. And what a
Yeah.
difference. I mean, obviously now I work in community and I've had a career pushing myself into different kinds of settings like this. But at the beginning,
Yeah.
it was just like, who can I call when I like the CSS isn't working and I didn't even know what CSS was yet and how to fix things and
Yeah.
what is a right click? What do you mean right click it and inspect element? Like all of those things that I learned from other people in the
Mhm.
community for sure. So yeah, I agree. I agree with that for sure.
Yeah.
When you think back over the WordPress events that you've attended, WordCamps, meetups, you've spoken on some pretty big stages too, WordCamp US and things like that. So when you think back over those, is there a particular event, a person you met, a moment in time that was really pivotal for you? And can you tell us what it was?
Yeah. Um, I would say WordCamp Seattle 2017 was the pivotal one for me. I had already, back in 2013, 2014 in Vancouver, we developed this workshop, which is now the basis of all of my work, around getting people to see that even if we don't see ourselves represented on stage, we still belong on that stage, and then developing the tools to do that. And then, I'd been dabbling in it for a number of years, and it was at WordCamp Seattle 2017 when Andrea Middleton sat down with me and said, Jill, this work, we know this workshop works. You've been running it in Vancouver. There's been other cities running it around the world, but people still come to me as in Andrea, saying, how do we get more diversity on our speaker stages? And she's like, there's this training-based solution. How do we get it out there? And by the end of that conversation, I was volunteered or voluntold, I'm not sure which, but either way, thrilled to do it, the lead of this group in WordPress that I've been leading since then, which is the diverse speaker training group. So that was a huge moment for me, going from
Absolutely.
something I was interested in to this is most of what I'm doing in life now.
Mhm. So talk to us a little bit about it. What is this diverse trainer or speaker training? And tell us what it's all about. I know you have an event coming up soon too. So
Yeah.
read us in. Let us know what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you a bit about this first workshop that Andrea and I decided to push out, and then a little bit about our two new programs, because one of the other programs is what I have coming up this coming week, which by the time this is posted, it's going to be in a day or two. So happening soon. So the main flagship thing that we do, and the thing that Andrea talked about, sometimes we call it the Diverse Speaker Workshop, but we've renamed it to more recently to Own Your Expertise, and how to own your expertise and start speaking on WordPress stages. And it's all about, back when I was a WordCamp conference organizer with Vancouver, we only had one kind of person putting up their hand to speak. And I had a whole journey around this, which you can see and to hear about in other places, Hero Press and my talk at WordCamp 2021. I tell my story there. The end result is that there's a lot of things that stop people from getting up on stages, but the two that I can actually do something about, and it's kind of the first level issue when we ask people, would you like to speak? They say, well, I'm not an expert, or I don't know enough about anything to give a talk, or well, what would I give a talk on?
Mhm.
So our workshop, the two first components are, who is the person on stage, the myths of who's on stage, and this busts through people's imposter syndrome. So they realize, oh, I do actually know the same amount as the people who are typically up on stages. I just own it differently, and I can reframe that. And a few of the other myths that stop people from seeing themselves as who belongs to be up on stage. And then we do a few exercises around finding a talk topic that people would want to hear. And along with doing these, you have a room full of people saying, I want to hear that talk from you. And that goes a really long way to busting through imposter syndrome, because if people are saying, I want to hear that talk, you're way more likely to actually do it. And then in that first year that we did this workshop, we did these two parts, and we also did a bit on becoming a better speaker. And people said, well, that's great, but what do I do next? What do I do with this stuff? So we added on a ton more info on writing a good pitch / proposal / description, which is that thing that goes up on the meetup page, the paragraph about what your talk is, or on a WordCamp list of all the talks. It's that description, how to write a good title, because most people don't read the description, how to write a bio, how to actually start writing your talk. And this is all hands-on. We're actually doing it as we go. So people walk away with a title, a description, a bio, an outline for their talk, how to do slides well, if you choose to do slides, how to answer all those tricky questions that come from the smarty pantses in the audience and the other things that come up that trip us up and we feel like, well, I don't want to face that. We give scripts for that. And then we also have all the things on how to be a better speaker. So that is, in essence, the main thing that we do. And we do that about monthly. And our next one for that is going to be on November 27th. We're focusing on Southern and Southeast Asia for that one. So India, Philippines, Indonesia, and other areas around there. And we're going to do our next America, Europe one sometime in the first couple weeks of December. Date to be announced, but when
Very
you
good.
get all the info later for my socials and WordPress links. So there's that. And then the second program that we created this year, and this is the one that the workshop is happening in a day or two, depending on when you're watching this. If you're watching this before the workshop happened, with the events that happened in 2020, meetup organizers and WordCamp organizers got more aware of diversity issues and we're like, yes, we want to do more. Groups that are not already diverse want to be more diverse and welcome and include more people who don't all look alike and don't all come from the same background, etc. But along with that, there's also more nervousness about getting it right. There's more nervousness about offending people, hurting people. And people try their best efforts, and a lot of times somebody will come to an event, not feel welcome, and then not come back. So how do we welcome people in and help them want to stay? And then once people are in the community, become contributors, become speakers, maybe even become part of the leadership team if you don't already have a diverse leadership team, which is one of the things that you should look at. So our workshop on November 17th is called Allyship for WordPress Event Organizers. And this is something that a few of us created back in 2019 before these issues even came up. These were already issues. It's just they're more at the forefront now. So this was created by Aruba Ahmed, Ali Nimmons, David Wolfpaw, and myself. So a diverse panel created it for WordCamp 2019. And now we have an interactive watch party where we watch this video and we stop to have discussions together and fill out a workbook together that we had created for it. And it's a very impactful workshop. We've done the program once now and people were really excited about it, and they're coming back to do it again because there's so much actionable info and support. It's not just, there's a lot of info out there on diversity theory, and that's all very valuable and I love it. All my work focuses on action. Let's get you doing the things now.
Yeah, I love it. And how much does it cost?
Oh, well, the cost is covered by big companies. So it is free for everyone to attend, everyone in WordPress to attend.
Which is wonderful. So I've talked with Ali about this on the Underrepresented in Tech podcast. Some of the barriers to entry for people of underrepresented groups is it costs so much to do so many things. And so by offering this as a free workshop, and it's basically a coaching session in a lot of ways, right? I mean, you can hardly ever get that for free. So by offering that as a free workshop that's subsidized by companies that want everybody to succeed, by sponsoring this, then this makes it levels the playing field a lot more than it has been in the past, which is a really good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And then a quick word about our third program. Our third program is called Diverse Speaker Support. And it's basically, before the pandemic, groups would hold the speaker workshop, like meetups and WordCamps would hold it for their own meetup and WordCamp. And there'd be a direct path like, okay, you took this with us, now speak at our meetup or WordCamp. Since the pandemic, a lot of groups don't exist. And even if they do exist, they don't have the bandwidth to put our workshop on. So now we have a Slack channel called Diverse Speaker Support, so that anybody who's taken the workshop can find out about the speaker opportunities and actually start speaking after our events, and also network, get more mentorship on, their
Mhm,
titles, their pitches, their talks, all the
mhm.
continuing things that people need. So that is
Is,
the third program that we started this summer. It's been a big year.
is that a standalone Slack or is that part of the WordPress Slack?
That is part of the WordPress Slack.
Okay, cool. So if you
Yeah.
are attending those and everything, you'll get information on how to join the WordPress Slack, and all you have to do is Google it. And you can figure that part out too. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And so, it started out with the four of you. How are there more people involved now? Is it growing? Are people past the baton? Like, how is this sustaining
Ooh.
itself over time?
So you're talking about the allyship program specifically,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
assuming? Yeah, so it started off with the four of us who created it. My team, my group, the diverse speaker training group, basically nobody knew the content the first time we ran it, and we've only run it once so far. So I led it. And now I'm starting to invite people, hey, do you want to be the facilitator for this? It's really easy. You're playing a video and then you're stopping to have a discussion. And then I'll make sure that there's always myself or someone else who can answer the diversity questions that come up.
Mhm.
So you don't even have to have a whole lot of knowledge on it. And
That's
same thing
wonderful.
with our diverse speaker workshop. We
Mhm,
have a few facilitators right now, and we want to expand to have more. And it's the
mhm,
same thing where we have this interactive watch party
mhm,
style. So you don't have a lot to learn, which makes it really a beautiful, easier stepping stone to start getting up on stages
mhm.
yourself if you're not already.
Absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. If it'll be painless, I promise. If the people who are listening right now are running a meetup or they're planning an event, what's one thing, if they only started with one thing, what's one thing they can do to make their event more welcoming and more inclusive?
Just one. Oh my gosh.
I mean, they got to
Like,
start
where do I
somewhere.
start?
I know. But we don't have
The
the
first,
time to do the whole workshop.
yeah. um, the first thing I would say is, the well-meaning people who put on their events, we welcome all people, or on their speaker application pages, we want diverse speakers. That is great in theory, but it doesn't actually appeal to people. So there's different wording. Most especially take out all the words on all your pages like rock stars, guru, because all of us who have imposter syndrome, which is generally, not everybody, but in general, the people who are not well represented in their
Mhm,
community, we're going to self-select ourselves out. So
mhm.
remove all those kinds of wording. That's the one I'm
That's,
going to pick.
I think that's a great one. I talk about that with your recruiting pages. If you were trying to recruit people to work with you, to say if you think you might be a fit for this company, you've already given me three reasons not. If,
Mhm.
think, and might. Those are self-selecting words out for people who have imposter syndrome. So yeah, words matter. They really do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you're somebody who's thinking, gosh, maybe I should think about maybe presenting, I'm actually going to put the words in your mouth on this one. And I'm going to say, attend the next event. Find out why you can do it.
No, Michelle, that's my answer. How did you know?
And if you
Our
can't attend for
workshop
any
is a
reason, there's that.
painless. No matter how nervous you are about speaking right now, attend, because we never force you to do anything. We say at the start, you can say pass for any exercise. So you can just show up and watch. You don't even have to participate, although we invite you to participate and do everything together, but you don't have to do that.
And there's no requirement. There's no homework to go home and apply to speak at a WordCamp. There's no promise that you're going to go do it. This is just for your edification and to help you
Yeah.
feel better about doing that in the future if you choose to. So
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. Well, thank you for all the work you
Yeah.
do. This sounds like
Thank
really
you.
exciting stuff for sure.
It is.
I'm going to move into our rapid fire questions.
Okay.
I always ask them rapidly, but you take the time you need to answer them. And you're not allowed to use the same answer for more than one question.
Oh
I
no.
know. I have to throw that in there. I know. Some people try to use the same person for like several different answers. Like, nope, that's not going to fly around here. Okay. So the first question is, and I know you're not doing developing and everything like that as much, but you're still in WordPress, so you'll have answers. What are 2 or 3 must-have plugins that you would recommend to somebody building their own website?
Yeah, so my answer for this one is I haven't touched plugins in a really long time. So this will date me when I say what
That's
plugins I
okay.
used to love. Login Limiter really helped me out with all the bots trying to log in and hack my websites. Simple
Yeah,
little plugin, very helpful.
excellent. At any point in your WordPress journey, have you had a mentor, whether it was a business mentor or a WordPress mentor, official or unofficial capacity, and who was it?
Yeah, Andrea Middleton up until recently was, and I say that because she's moved on to Reddit now,
Right.
but she spent 10 amazing years in WordPress, and she was my biggest mentor for most of that time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It is because of her that I'm doing what I'm doing.
She's a WordPress giant for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Uh, now see, this is the thing is you can't use her for your next question, but who's somebody you admire in the WordPress community and why?
Yeah. So Andrea's not in the WordPress community anymore, so she can't
True.
be my answer.
True.
Absolutely 100%. Josepha and Angela, Angela
Jin.
Jin.
Yeah.
I'm tired.
I know, me too. It's
Josepha
okay.
Hayden, Angela Jin. I adore them both so much. They are so
Mhm.
amazing. They have both done so much for my work. And they
Mhm.
have both also inspired a lot of my work as well.
Mhm.
Back before they were doing what they're doing now, we would have conversations about diversity and everything, and
And they bring diversity. They're women in technology. I mean, right off the start, I love
yes.
it, right? And they're in positions of
Yeah,
authority, which makes it even better. So yeah.
yeah,
Okay. I
absolutely.
100%. I approve your choices. Not that it
Oh,
matters, but
thank
I
you.
approve your
Oh,
choices.
good.
Yeah. What's something that you'd still like to learn in WordPress, but that you haven't tackled yet?
Ooh, um, hmm. So my answer is a very self-serving answer, which is
Mhm.
how to reach more of the meetup organizers and WordCamp
Yeah.
organizers out there.
No,
This
I
is not
agree.
your
It's not easy.
typical developer answer. This is my community builder answer. We
Hmm.
have
Hmm.
such amazing offerings. We have 3 programs for meetup and WordCamp organizers, and I'm
Yeah.
really stuck on how do we reach them? How do we talk to them?
That's
Hoping
a good
some of them are
question.
listening to your show right now. I
That would
hope.
be good.
Or people who aren't organizers themselves can maybe nudge their organizers and say,
There you
hey,
go.
Jill has great program, or not Jill, the diverse speaker training group has great programs
Yeah,
that you
yeah.
should check out.
Led by Jill. Led by Jill. There you go. You're
Team
definitely
effort, but
involved.
yes.
Yes, absolutely. What's one of the biggest mistakes you've made in WordPress, and what did you learn from it?
Ooh, okay. So as a community builder, and this is not something that I like talking about, but each year Automatic and I create measurable results that I need to hit. And in 2019, I put more focus on the WordCamp US talk with Ali Aruba, David Wolfpaw, and derailed from my measurable results. And so I did not hit my measurable results. And I don't like talking about that. When I did my annual report, I was like, so we didn't hit these results, but look at all these things that we did do, because we did some improvement to our processes that I was able to measure and show. Like we went from 20% attendance to 80% attendance. Like there was other things I was able to show, but that was
Yeah.
a big, ever since then, I'm
Disappointment.
like,
Yeah.
okay, laser focus on the results. I will get what I say. I will do what I say that I was going to do.
I understand. It sounds like you still did really good things, even if you didn't hit the number you were looking for. So,
Yeah.
what's your proudest WordPress moment?
Proudest. I think, okay. I'm going to say, after that conversation with Andrea Middleton at WordCamp Seattle 2017, she said to me, are you going to WordCamp US? Because if you are, you can launch the new program there. And I'm like, I am now. And then, so I quickly bought my ticket, showed up, and had something that was not on the program and this was all Andrea's request. I had a little side room on contributor day, where I invited tons of people to come to the launch of this program. And I was actually able to fill the room because I spent all 2 or 3 days of the WordCamp, just going around talking to everybody, being like, come to this thing.
That's
And so that
wonderful.
was a really great moment to be able to do the first thing for this team and do the first training and tell everybody about it.
Absolutely. Oh, that's great. I love that. If you
Thanks.
weren't working in technology in the tech sector at all, what's another career that you might like to attempt?
Ooh, if I wasn't working in the tech sector, if I wasn't doing my community work, I'd probably be back to being a developer. But if I wasn't doing either of those, I might be an author, either
Hmm.
fiction or nonfiction, because I'm very passionate about both. I really love minimalism and productivity. And so I might be doing a career as like a coach of one of those. I even have a little app that I created called Thing.do that helps people with starting tasks that they absolutely don't want to do. And so like, I might be a coach based off of that. And that's
Yeah.
something that I created in WordPress.
Oh, I love
I
it.
created a little web tool using all vanilla JavaScript in WordPress.
Oh, I love it. Those are all good things. Gosh, I had one person say Uber driver once. I was like, that is a very far cry from what we do in WordPress. Absolutely. What is something on your bucket list?
Pre-pandemic, I had a lot of travel on my bucket list.
Mhm.
Now, just leaving the house might be on my bucket list. I think, once I grow more of a team with my work, so I don't have to do as much of it hands-on myself, getting onto the big shows out there. Like yours is a big show in WordPress, but I'm talking like TED Talk stages,
Sure. Yeah.
Oprah, all those things.
Mhm.
Those are, I would
Yeah.
like to make the message that I have a household name. And my message, which I haven't mentioned, is once people start speaking on stages, that leads to more opportunities, more things. It's this one little thing that fosters more diverse communities because people get more speaking opportunities, job opportunities. And a lot of people also wind up, that starts the path to stepping into leadership. And that's the thing I really care about, that once
Yeah.
we have more diverse leaders, we have better products, better decisions, just because the mix of once we have a mix of opinions and people coming from different perspectives, it makes a really big difference.
So doing a TED Talk is one of my bucket list items too. So
Nice.
yeah, I'm with you on that. Show us or tell us about a hidden talent you have that WordPress community might not know about.
I brought a visual for
Okay.
this, 2 visuals.
Yes.
So starting in the pandemic, when I would no longer left the house and I needed to look for fun things to do, I started drawing, and I've only made 2 good drawings in all this time. And so I brought these with me. I'm
Let
like,
me see.
my hobby is terrible drawings, and here's 2 good drawings. So this
Oh
is
my
me
gosh, that's
learning that bubble
wonderful.
baths help me sleep. And so I have this like cute
I love it. Oh my gosh, that's so
me with my
adorable.
shorter hair.
Uh-huh. And the
And
bubbles
then
floating over the bubbles.
I've made one good realistic-ish drawing in my entire life, and this was just a few weeks ago, and I still
Uh-huh.
can't stop telling people about it.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I'm so
I
happy
love
with
it.
this.
You should be. You should frame it. Frame them both. Those are
They
wonderful.
take spots on our fridge of
There you go.
the very few drawings that I've done that are good.
They're on their fridge quality. I love that.
Yep.
How do we find you on social media? What's the website? Where do we find out more about all of this?
Yeah, so on Twitter, I'm Jill Binder. Also on LinkedIn, I'm Jill Binder. My website is diversein.tech. And I post a lot on the WordPress community blog, and you can find me there under the tag WP Diversity. And that's, I'd say the best ways to find our links for our upcoming workshops are on the diverse, oh gosh, I forget the tag. Look at WP Diversity. It'll be included there as well as on my Twitter. I put it front and center.
Excellent. And if you are listening and you have no way to write all that down right now, just go to WPCoffeeTalk.com, find Jill's episode, and all of that will be in our show notes as well. Jill, thank you so much for being here today. Is there anything else you want to share with us before I let you go?
I will share that I think you are so fabulous, Michelle, and
Oh
I adore
gosh.
you. And I'm so happy that I got to be on your show.
Thank
you
you
so
Thanks.
much.
I know we've been talking about it for quite a while, and finally, what do they say?
Finally.
what is it? They say that something aligned I can't think of the right words today.
Planets align.
The planets aligned.
Something.
Yes, the planets aligned, and it made it, and we actually made it happen. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
It's the pleasure's been mine, and I appreciate you so much and all the work that you're doing. So we'll see everybody else. Hopefully, we'll see you all at the diversity training. But other than that, we will see you on the next episode of WP Coffee Talk. In the meantime, everybody stay safe and healthy.